Hey folks, welcome back to Real Estate Investing Unmasked. Today we're going to talk about step 10 in the 11 steps of how to buy a house, and that is when you do your final walkthrough. Alright guys, it's getting really exciting. You're almost to the very end when you get to close on your house, but you're not there yet. Almost, but not there yet. Right now you have gone through the whole rigmarole. You're just about to sign a huge stack of papers to close escrow, but you've got one more thing to do, and that is it's time for you to go back to that house and take a look at it and make sure that it's in the same condition or better than when you saw it in the first place, when you first put up your purchase contract. You see, right now you have just negotiated with the contractor saying you fix this, you fix that, you've had the home inspection, and you have found out, hey, I need certain things done in this house before I want to take it. I want to have certain appliances left behind for me. Maybe it's a couch, maybe it's the fridge, maybe it's the washer and dryer, but you have certain things that you have negotiated to say leave behind for me when I buy this house. Your final walkthrough is going to take place in the last day or two, really right before you close escrow. And when you do that, the house should be pretty much empty. So they're going to have their pictures off the walls, they're going to have everything off the floors. It really is just a blank canvas. It is a blank slate for you to walk in and take a look and see everything. You're going to have a couple things that you're going to want to bring with you, and these are suggestions that Dave Ramsey suggests. Dave Ramsey says you should bring with you your purchase agreement. The agreement that says these are the things that should stay and these are the things that should go. That way you can say, yep, looks like they've got everything here, or wait a minute, you took something you shouldn't have brought. Another thing to bring with you is your camera. Now, most of you are going to have a cell phone, so you can take pictures of whatever it is that you need to take pictures of, but you should have something to take pictures because you're going to want to know what this place looked like, and you're going to want to share it with your friends, honestly. But this gives you an opportunity, if you do have to bring anything up with the seller, to point at something specific in the pictures that you take. You also want to bring your home inspection with you, so you can see all the things that were on the home inspection and compare them to what was repaired and what wasn't repaired, whether something needed to be or not. Because there are many times when the seller's not going to fix anything, and there are times where they're going to fix everything. So that home inspection is going to give you the opportunity to compare what you're seeing to what the home inspector saw. You might want to bring something with you that allows you to plug in to any outlet you want to test, something that proves that there's electricity flowing to that outlet, which means you got to have the electricity on. What I like to use is a little night light. It makes it very easy. You plug it in, it turns on. There's also an electric tester. I do this because I'm so used to, as a technician, I would have an electric tester in my pocket. Take an electric tester and you turn it on, click, and when you put it up against the outlet, it goes beep beep, and then you know you've got electricity there. So that's another way you can check. But the best way is probably take a nightlight or something you can plug in, and you know for sure that it's wired properly. At least in the most cases, it will be wired properly and not have reverse polarity. The last thing that Dave Ramsey suggests that you bring with you is a pen, pencil, and some sticky notes. And that way, while you're going through the house, you can put a sticky note up against the wall or on the floor, whatever it is that you want to bring to the attention of the seller or to bring to your attention later on. One of the things that my wife and I have done when we move, and there's a video that I'll post up above for you guys to see what some of my suggestions are for when you move. But one of the things that we do is when we go to the new place, especially during our final walkthrough, we can take a piece of paper and we can tape it to the door so everybody knows what room is which room, so that when you do move in, you don't have to show up early and do that. You can just show up at the same time as the movers, or if you're doing it yourself, you can show up and your friends are going to help you out. I wouldn't do it alone. Then they will know what room to put the stuff in. So that's another time you can post something on the doors, and that works just fine. Don't bring any paint. It's not time for you to paint anything yet. This is still not your house, but you can put some sticky notes on the doors. You can put some tape papers up on the door that describe whose room is going to be, etc. So you can take some, not ownership, but you can take some ownership with a little o of some of the rooms and claim the rooms as your own or for your kids. So this final walkthrough will be somewhere between 15 minutes and an hour. It just depends on you and how quickly you want to take a look through the house. I don't recommend rushing anything on this house, but if it's a smaller house, then it's obviously not going to take as long as something that's a much larger house. If you're buying something that's say 3,500 square foot, 2,500 square foot, this is going to take you some time, especially if it's an older home. If it's a brand new home, there are still things that you need to check. I would do things similar to what you would expect a home inspector to look at. Open every cupboard door and make sure it opens and closes freely. If it doesn't, Put a post-it note on there to say, hey, this is something that I need to bring to my attention later on. This is not the time to renegotiate with the seller to say, hey, I found that this is an issue, I want you to fix it, unless it's a major issue that you have already discussed in your negotiations. And in that case, they should be fixing that. And this is the time to bring that up to them and say, hey, you said you're going to fix this in our negotiation and it's not fixed. Now, if you get to this point, like I said, you're only a day or two before you close, and you find something that was not repaired based on what you two had negotiated, now is the time for you to get your realtor involved with their realtor and say, look, you either need to hold money back at closing, and we can still close escrow, but you need to have the escrow company hold money back so I can hire a contractor to fix the issue you're supposed to fix. So that's one way to do it. Or you can say hold money back, but credit me at closing. So now when they write up the papers, they're going to say, all right, this thing wasn't fixed. It's going to cost about $6,000. So that $6,000 goes toward the buyer's down payment, basically. And that way, when you go to the closing table and wire your money in, that $6,000 less that you'll have to put into the pot. And then you'll have that in your pocket to be able to fix up the repairs, in theory. That's one of the ways that I suggest doing, ways to lower your down payment. But your final walkthrough is a way for you to determine those things. It is not a time to reopen the negotiation unless you really must. You want to look for pest droppings, mouse droppings, things that would have been cleaned up while somebody was there, but now that somebody's gone, maybe they have little rodents or pests that have shown up. If it's minor stuff like dead bugs or whatever that, dead spiders or whatever that you can just sweep up, no big deal. While it may be gross and creepy, it is something that's doable and you can clean up for that. The seller should have left the place fairly clean. It doesn't have to be spotless, but it should have been at least somewhat swept or vacuumed at a minimum. Whenever they take down the pictures off the wall, it's polite for a seller to go ahead and fill in the holes where they had the pictures before, but it's not always required, and it's not necessary. It's not required. It is something that you would like them to do, but it's not something that they have to do. Another thing you're looking for is to see if there's been any damage that has taken place since your home inspection. Sometimes, and I'll give you an example, I had a duplex that I was trying to sell, and a previous tenant of mine found out that I was selling this property, and he actually busted in the back door, broke it completely, and I had to get it fixed. When did I find out about it? Of course, when the buyer was going through the property. So sometimes things like that happen. Sometimes little Johnny or little Susie hit a baseball and it knocks it right through the window, and nobody expected to see a broken window when they showed up, and the seller ends up having to pay for it or give a credit for it. Or you find out the neighbor did it and you have them pay for it. Nonetheless, during your walkthrough, because it is so close to closing, this is supposed to give you the last glimpse to show you that the property is exactly as you were promised. So make sure you go on that final walkthrough. Now, you should not run into the seller or the seller's agent during this walkthrough. If they do show up, it is kind of weird. They really shouldn't be there. Now, there are some examples where maybe they might be there, but they should leave once you arrive. And that would be if you're going to close escrow with a lease back, or a tenant may be there if you're buying a rental property. Right? So, but if you're doing a lease back where the previous person selling the house, the person selling the house is going to stay there for another couple of months while they get their next place, then they may still be there when you arrive, and then you'll just have to ask them politely to leave while you do your final walkthrough. They'll head out, you do your thing, and then you'll let them know. So again, it's somewhere between 15 minutes and an hour, depending on how big the house is and how thorough you want your inspection to be. You can turn on and off the garbage disposal, turn on and off the HVAC system to make sure the air conditioner and the heater work. You want both of them to be checked, not just one. Because you're in the middle of the summer, even though it stinks to turn on that heater, you gotta check it, because come in a couple of months, if it doesn't work, you're going to need to know and be prepared for that to have it fixed. Make sure you flush all the toilets, make sure they refill and don't leak all over the place. So again, this is just kind of like a small thing for you, kind of like a small house inspection for you. Go outside, make sure there's not additional trash or debris that the seller left behind when they moved out of the house, etc. So you have finished your final walkthrough, you go and tell the agent everything's all done. And by the way, your agent probably should be with you. Now, a lot of times I've done my final walkthrough without the agent, but in reality, you shouldn't be inside that house without an agent because of liabilities and whatnot. So your agent will be with you, especially it seems how this is your first house that you're buying, most likely. That's why you're watching these videos. So I want you to just tell the realtor how you feel about whatever you see. Maybe you're excited, maybe you're disappointed in something that you see. Share those feelings with your realtor. They can bring it up with the seller's realtor, whether it's positive or negative, and get everything pretty much ironed out. And then you only have one step left to go, and that's when you close. So don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, And when you subscribe, you'll be able to see my next video come out, which is the closing, when you finally get to close on that house. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.